have something a little different tonight. We'll start 2 minutes early. Call the meeting to order at 5:58. Kathy, roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Pat Scanlon.
Here.
Councilmember Ben Argo is excused. Councilmember Brett Argo.
Here.
Councilmember Jason Chapman is
Jason is accused, he's sick.
and Councilmember Kurt Kipling.
Here.
Little housekeeping on the agenda. I need to remove item 10G. Somebody could support that. We don't need to have that on there.
Support.
Motion and support the 10G change order number 2 for the Second Street storm sewer repairs will be removed. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And I think that's all we have. What's your pleasure on the agenda as amended?
Great. Do you want to add, or you add?
Do you want to add any Sam Grant, or do you want me
I got that on my report.
to management?
Yeah. Council,
Move to accept the agenda as presented, as amended.
as amended, support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you very much. Public comment. Anyone for public comment? Ray?
My name is Raymond Olds. I live at 1165 Ninth Street. I'd like to bring this up to the council for consideration. I believe, and I know that many others believe, that the 4th of July should be celebrated on the 4th of July. This is a federal holiday and should be celebrated on that day. Banks, credit unions, post offices, and many other businesses are closed on the 4th of July, and yet we celebrate this holiday on a day those people have to work. I think that's very unfair. I think I can speak for many, or I can't speak for many occupations, but I do know how I would feel if I finally had the opportunity to have the 4th of July off and my town changed the celebration to another date. I do know that Mr. Skog, past councilman, was very much for keeping the 4th of July on the 4th of July. I have been told we want the celebration to be like Nagani, a week-long thing, but as fun as that celebration is, Nagani does not celebrate Independence Day. I have also been told we cannot compete with Marquette for the parade and the fireworks. I say, who cares? This is a celebration for our city and our citizens. I think that the majority of the residents in Ishpeming want Independence Day celebrated on the 4th of July, and I'd like the council to consider putting it back where it belongs. Another thing I'd like to talk about tonight is I assume we did not get our grant for the tennis courts. But it is still very unclear to me who oversees the tennis courts. And I have noticed, and other people have noticed, that we have not taken the nets down on the tennis courts that we do have. And I priced them, they're between $300 and $400 a net, and we have 9 tennis courts. So that's kind of a costly thing. And I do have in my pocket, if anybody be interested, on the proper care of tennis courts, when to take the nets down and what to do. But those nets should have come down, and I don't know if they're froze to the ground now. But that would be a pretty costly thing to start replacing tennis court nets on the ones we have. I think we should learn a lesson and take care of them so that when we finally do get new tennis courts, we'll be treating them right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Anybody else for public comment? Anybody else? Last call. No public comment. Thank you very much. And the consent agenda, and I'll just go through it briefly. Minutes of previous meetings, December 4th, 6th, 13th, and 20th. Approval of disbursements. Confirm 2025 publishing source is the Mining Journal. confirm 2025 depositories, Nicolay, True North, First Bank, Comerica, Charles Schwab, and Edward D. Jones. Confirm payment to Upset for 2025 of $10,000. Confirm payment to the Commission on Aging for 2025, $9,000. What's your pleasure?
Your Honor, I make a move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
We have a motion and support to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you very much. Monthly reports from departments. We will first do the financial statement, Grant.
Wonderful. Okay, so we are taking a look at the unaudited financial excerpt month ended 12/31/2024. Item 7A. I want to caveat these numbers with a few things. We are currently closing out the year. There will still be expense accruals, which we are liable to record, invoices that we pay into March, back into the current year, stuff like that. These are unaudited figures, and we are still waiting on some key revenue sources from the state. We can estimate what those are gonna be. But as we take a look through this, everybody keep in mind, these are not our final year numbers. Okay, so taking a look at the general fund, we are looking at for November and December, because we are doing 2 months to catch us up to current. In December, $217K in tax revenue received, $201K in CBTRS payments, and that is through our October 24 period, so we're still waiting on 2 months of payments from the state, and that's gonna be one of those payments that will come in and help us bring that bottom line up a little bit. Big expenditures for the general fund, as always, are personnel services. And if you notice that negative line under professional and contract services, that is an adjusting entry which spreads some of the costs for our city attorney to different funds, because our city attorney does not only represent the general fund, they represent all of our funds. We have a net expenditures over revenue of $451,000 as we stand today. That's a big, scary number. I anticipate that we will finish the year with a loss in the general fund at $173K when all is said and done. Large factor in that being our insurance costs and some other things. As we go through Q4 budget amendments, we can talk a little more about that. I think our original targeted number for the year was an $80K deficit. So that's revenue, not fund balance. The ending fund balance as it stands right now for the general fund is $472K. When all is said and done, I anticipate that to be up at $700K for year end, down from $924K, so $750 roughly. Okay, moving on to major streets. We received state revenue of $112K as part of our Act 51 sharing. And we have costs which are majorly represented by equipment rentals and personnel services. We have a net revenue over expenditure year to date of $149K, bringing us to an ending fund balance in major streets of $842K. So major streets really doing pretty okay this year. For local streets, we received some state revenue sharing in December of $47K. That's our Act 51 revenue. And for expenditures, we're looking at mainly personnel services and equipment rentals as our expenditure drivers. We have a year-to-date net revenues over expenditures of $107K, bringing us to an ending fund balance in local streets of $782K. Take a look at DDA. The DDA received $54,000 in tax revenue in the month of December. The major expense for the DDA in December was $75K progress payment to our skate park project. We have net Revenues over expenditures year-to-date at 42K in the DDA, bringing us to an ending fund balance of 875K. For the Public Improvement Fund, we received 70K in tax revenue. Not much expenditure activity going on in the Public Improvement Fund for the past 2 months. And we have a net revenue over expenditure year-to-date in public improvement of 380K, bringing us to an ending fund balance of 991K. Now, unlike your other funds, which carry capital assets and other things as part of that fund balance, your fund balance in your public improvement fund is mainly cash. That's good news. For the sewer fund, there's a lot going on in this revenue figure, so I just want to take a minute to point some stuff out. We had some major reclassing entries, which we're just recording our CWSRF grant and bond revenue into the proper accounts as it comes in. So that's why you see some negatives there, but also some large positives. You can see, although there's negatives in some lines, the total revenue for the month of December is still at 785. A lot of that is that grant and bond draw from your CWSRF project. For expenditures, we see a lot of CWSRF spending, 1.2 million in the month of December, 3.4 million in the month of November. We have totally exhausted so far the grant funding for that project, as we anticipated to do, no surprise. And we are now well into the bond draws for that. So starting to draw on our debt as that project nears closer to completion. Other than the CWSRF, your metered sales for the month of December under charges for services there, we see at 282K. And 157K in November. We have a net revenue of expenditure year-to-date at 1.4 million and an ending fund balance in the sewer account of 11.6 million. For your water fund, you can see we received some DWSRF grant revenue. We have opened the bond as we are required to do as we start that project, but we are still drawing down the grant as we go. And then you can see your charges for services, your metered sales. We have 404K in the month of December. We are realizing quite a bit of revenue as we tighten up our meters and our water billing infrastructure. We're surpassing our projections by hundreds of thousands of dollars as we tighten up our own billing, which is good, and it shows how much money the city was losing due to our poor meter management, poor meter infrastructure. Some of it was just equipment, and some of it was billing issues, which have been discussed at length here in prior meetings. Very excited to see that, and that we'll talk about that a little bit more as we talk about rates going forward. We have a net revenue over expenditure year-to-date in the water fund of 452K with an ending fund balance of 10.8 million. Garbage and recycle, nothing very exciting ever happens in the garbage and recycle fund. It is performing as expected with a net revenues over expenditures at 145K, bringing us to an ending fund balance of 665K. Your motor pool, this is the last meeting that you will see a financial report for your motor pool as we are dissolving it January forward. We have 103K of vehicle and equipment rentals for December, 40K for November. Your personnel services and your equipment maintenance are really your expenditures in this account. We have a net expenditure over revenue for the account of 88K for the year, and that will change as we capitalize some of the vehicle purchases from the year, but they're first booked as an expenditure, an outflow of cash, and later capitalized onto your balance sheet. So we have an ending fund balance for the motor pool of 986,000. And unlike your public improvement fund, most of that is not cash. Most of that balance is equipment. For police and fire retirement, I believe when we last spoke about the police and fire retirement, we had a pretty big dip in our market values, and I'm happy to say that that's reversed a little bit. So we're finishing out the year in our police and fire retirement funds with a net revenue over expenditure of $366,000, and that's bringing us to an ending fund balance of $5.2 million. Moving down to the claim on pooled cash chart, you can see our cash balances for the city because again, fund balances are not cash. And so we see major drivers changing cash balances for the city continue to be our DWSRF project and our CWSRF project. Current cash holdings for the funds above stand at just over 9.9 million. Is there any questions on the financial excerpt?
Any questions? Very good. What's your pleasure?
Move to accept the financial statement report as presented. Support.
Motion and support to accept the financial report. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Grant.
Thank you.
Department of Public Works, Billy.
Most of our work right now is just getting rid of the seasonal decorations and getting ready for things like the ski jumps and that. With the lack of snow, we're just doing some cleaning of the house, and you'll see that in that item that's coming up on the agenda. The other big thing was getting the water meters completed and sending them out as of one billing, which went pretty well. This last, I think it was last week or within the last week, we've had 3 water breaks that the crews have been out on, and they did a good job of getting those tightened up real quick. But other than that, not much.
Very good. The portal, you're going to discuss that later on?
Yeah, we could discuss it now.
Oh, that's
if
fine.
you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anytime's fine. I just wanted a confirmation. You guys have approved your meter replacement project, if I understand it correctly. I just want to confirm as part of that project, we've been discussing going on the portal, that carries about a $20,000 price tag. We are under budget for our meter replacement project. Before that, we have a large credit coming in from our equipment provider, and I just wanted to touch home, confirm we're good to go ahead and move forward with that portal, getting that online for residents. And I think I know the answer, but I think it's
Well, we did discuss it previously, but I will again make a motion that we authorize you and the Public Works Department to move forward with I call it the portal, but what it is it's going to be automating it so you can go on, look at your own readings, you can set your bill online, and everything will be done online. And that was one of the big things that we professed that we would be doing so to complete the project. So I will make that a motion that we move forward with the funds coming from the reimbursement from returning equipment. We have a motion and support to move forward with water meter replacement and the hub for reading and the internet. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. And thank you, Bill. The library report. Jesse, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hello.
Can't see that far. There she is.
I'm here. Hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, Jesse, you might be muted.
I'm not. Let's try that again. Says I'm not muted. Can you hear me now? It's not muted. We ran into this before, didn't we, Jason?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Lips, I think you're muted.
Sorry.
Where am I? Bottom right?
Up in the right corner.
Right next to the clock is that. Oh, yeah.
How about now?
Can you hear me now? Anything?
There we go.
Excellent. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Thanks very much. Because of the timing of this meeting, I was able to have both November and December reports included for you. I won't read the whole thing and bore you, but just some highlights. Each month we look at attendance at the library, circulation of items, and our programming numbers to give us an idea of where we're at. General trends for November, visits to the library was down from the previous month, but an increase from last year. We actually saw the same trend in December. Circulation of items, we actually saw a decrease both compared to the previous month and the previous year for November. with 5,799 items checked out. That includes digital items as well. December also saw a decrease from the month prior, but it was actually up from the year before. And then for our programs, we offered more in November than in December, which is typical. December just tends to be a busy month. People have lots going on. So we had 30 programs with 638 attendees for November and 19 programs with 434 attendees in December, including one Tot Tuesday Storytime with 86 in attendance, which was a lot. And I am currently working on compiling an annual report for 2024. And once the library board has approved that, I will present that to you as well.
Very good, thank you. Jesse, any questions? Council? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we have new public hearings, unfinished business. Sadly, it's the fire tower. All right.
Okay, so we did receive our structural report back from UPEA, and I am sorry to say that I believe it was a later addition, right, or a renovation. That top of that tower, the brick that was put on there is not doing well at all. The recommendation from UPEA was to go ahead and either address it by taking it down all the way to level of the building or remove that top decorative cap off of that fire tower. I do not think that restoration a second time is going to be a wise use of resources for us. Just to bring that decorative cap off, we are looking at $300,000 to $400,000 to remove that top structure. So that is a pretty big hit for us. I have provided you guys with the capital improvement plan overview. It's that blue line sheet that I just passed out. I don't know if we want to try and discuss what we're going to bump this meeting, or if we want to take some time and think about it a little more. But I think it's important to present the information that this is going to need to come down, and it's going to cost us $300,000 to $400,000 to do so.
My personal concern, and I, obviously, everybody knows I'm swayed, but we're gonna spend nearly $500,000 to tear it down. And granted, that ends worries about ever having to maintain it again, but is there any feasibility to rebuilding? I mean, if they're taking the bricks off and we're going layer at a time, and if it didn't cost us money, we don't want to throw more money into it. But I just wonder if when we did that, we had to have all the structure up to support it, hey? Scaffolding like the Statue of Liberty was. I just can't understand why the failure, as I was told, was the bricks were not made for the portion that, excuse me, the portion that has to come down is in the cold all the time. The portion below it is heated, and that was heated to dry hose. And the failure was in the non-heated area, and that led to the failure from what I got years ago when it was first starting to fail. And I just wonder if we could have UPEA over the next month before we have to pull the trigger on money we don't have. Take a look at, is there any type of refurbishing that can happen? If we're spending all of that money, we're gonna have nothing for it. I mean, aside from safety, obviously, but we're gonna end with a roof on the fire hall and a bell on the ground out in front again. And it is a historical building, and in the day, 1913, 1912, that was the premier fire hall in the Midwest. I did a lot of research on it. We had a Gamewell fire alarm system, and the structure was the best in the Midwest. So I'd like to make sure that we've exhausted all possibilities. So I guess with council's agreement, I would like to have UPEA at least entertain briefly what it would take to strip off the bad brick and make an attempt at a repair.
If I may.
Yes, absolutely.
So a couple things about this report, and I agree with your sentiments that we don't want to jump to spending too much money. When we contracted UPEA to take a look at the fire tower, I was hopeful they weren't going to find anything wrong. So we didn't necessarily give them a direction that said, tell us what it's going to cost to tear it down. We gave them a direction of, can you tell us if we need to tear it down, or what are some options? Their conclusion or their recommendation, I guess, which I forgot to cover, was to demolish the 2001 rebuilt portion and provide a new cap over the remaining tower. Obviously, the cheapest option, that's going to be their recommendation, but I do think there's no harm in trying to slow roll that demolition if it does come to that. The other thing is we need to decide, are there grants to maintain historical structures that we could find in some time? Probably. But now that we have this information, we need to balance potential safety concerns and time. So I think we do have a lot of follow-up with this. I don't think I would recommend any action other than what you said. I agree with you.
We don't have the money anyway, so
Exactly.
it's not like we can pull the trigger next week.
Yes.
So is that agreeable without a motion? I
Is
mean,
there a danger of brick coming off? Is that what the?
it's still netted and the net's still holding up. When they put it up, Kurt, they said 2 years, but when they looked at it, it's holding up. Very little is coming down. And the engineers from GEI said that there was no imminent danger, and UPEA agreed. It's not like it's gonna topple over, and it's just basically sitting and kind of degrading, for lack of a better word.
We got some time, it's not.
Right.
Of course.
So we move forward with that, and also council, take a look at the CIP plan that you were given tonight. And we've got to get the money somewhere. So keep that in the back of your mind and kind of look over that plan. And I don't know if we'll even act next month, but before the leaves are on the trees, we will have to. Thank you, Grant.
Thank you.
All right, new business. Review, confirm policy 601, council rules of procedure policy. I had a couple of brief things. One is under section I, number 2. We're adding phone calls and texts, and if I screw up, Caroline, please jump in. We are adding phone calls and texts with the manager and staff shall occur during business hours unless other times are necessary due to the issue, which I'm looking at as an emergency. Emails and office phone messages may be sent at any time, but the manager and staff are not expected to respond until their next working day. I also, and I think we need to add it, is the pop-in. Pop-in. We have people that just pop into the office, and we need to curtail those kind of things. If you need to see staff, call, make an appointment, and certainly minimize the pop-ins. The staff, especially these days, is very, very busy, and even I try to avoid stopping in to check on things if it's not completely necessary. It's kind of hard, if you're doing a project and the phone rings sometimes, especially when you get my age, you got to reset yourself and figure out where you were. And so I would like to add some language to that.
Your Honor.
Yes,
One of the things too, as your staff is looking to go home, we don't want to be popping at 4:30 in the afternoon and they're trying to
Right.
get out of there at 5.
yeah,
Although Grant and Kathy, the other night I went by and I was doing that ride along, and at 6:30, they're still in their office. But we don't want to be in there at 4:30, tying them up to 5:30 or whatever. There's nothing that earth-shattering that happens in Ishpeming that we got to do with that.
absolutely.
So I don't know if we need to put it in writing or if just wait to see. if it
Well,
occurs at
the
some
general,
point.
yeah, I think the general statement should be sufficient. The other thing, and I would need action on this, I would like to remove the second public comment. We've been doing it for a couple years, and it's usually a redundancy of the first public comment, but I would like a motion for that one.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support to remove the second public comment. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. And I thought I had one more. D on roll call on page 9. It says, I just don't understand it, and said, in all roll call votes, the names of the members of the council shall be called in rotating order as determined by the clerk/clerk of the council.
It just means, it means that you'll take turns going first and going last, so that,
On roll call votes.
right, so
Okay.
that you're not required, so someone isn't always getting the last vote and getting a pull of the council before they have to vote.
Gotcha, and that makes perfect sense. So that being said, that's all I have. Brett, any input?
I agree with all the proposed amendments to the policy.
And Kurt?
Absolutely.
The other thing I want to say is there's lots of rules here that I don't like to say enforce, but we don't support. And I think that it's a good time. We've all read them, we've all agreed on them. And Jason and other Argyle have the same opportunity. So we will follow these a little bit closer.
Good job.
So I would move that we adopt this as amended this evening on the 15th of January, 2025.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you very much. What's your pleasure on the council meeting dates? Everybody's okay with it? It's most likely going to change for the financial purposes. Matter of fact, we can do that.
I was just going to say, Ron, we talked to Grant before, and I believe he indicated that the third week would be better.
Just for the audience and the public, we've had a lot of input from taxpayers about we're a little bit lagging on our financials. So Grant had an excellent idea. Let's move the meeting to the third Wednesday of the month. Then we've got that couple weeks for everything else to kind of wash out, at least by far the majority of it. So that's what we're looking at doing. Do you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, if I could, I think that's just pretty standard for any accounting turnaround. Most organizations don't close their books for the month within 3 or 4 days. Certainly, we've tried to prepare financial reports here when bank and investment statements weren't even available yet. So what we had done was we had gone back to a 1 month lag. That's why we did a catch-up month. It's not because the city was behind, but because we were operating on a 1 month lag to allow time. Now that we are reviewing the prior month immediately in that next month, that extra time helps us get into more of a reasonable turnaround and really vet our numbers.
So would you rather, can we do it now, make it the third Wednesday of the month, and let's get it over with? or-
Fine by me, yeah.
Motion?
I'll make the motion, and refer also to our lawyer here. Is there any?
There is no, I checked with her, there's no
Okay,
charter language and no ordinance language.
let's. Okay, so
Oh,
I'll make a motion that we amend the rules, or do you want to put it in?
no, that should work,
Okay.
yeah.
No, that's fine, there used to be an ordinance and you rescinded that, but it's still in the rules, so.
Okay, so we amend the rules to reflect that we meet now the third Wednesday of every month, and that take effect immediately for next month.
Support.
We have a motion and support. I have one question Do you need to see the new schedule, or can we just have Kathy send it? I think we've agreed on it, so
Yeah.
we will send it out and we won't have to have it at the next month's meeting.
You can do it that way and then make a change later if there's a conflict for some reason, like it runs into
Holiday
hunting
or-
season or something like that. Sure.
All right, we have a motion and support. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. And 2024 fourth quarter budget amendments.
Okay. So right out the gate, I think the key piece of information here is that the general fund needs an increase to appropriations of 81K. That's our big, it's our big topic for discussion, I think, with these. Some factors that have been pretty prevalent in our miss include health insurance, which we amended in Q3. Alleys and sidewalks, we did a lot of really, good snow hauling and work early on, but the vehicle rentals in there really sent us over the edge. And you can see here's one of our reasons for eliminating that motor pool fund is that motor pool fund isn't there and your alleys and sidewalks account isn't getting pummeled with an additional 34K because we had a really wet and heavy, snow season. Your other costs that have gone over, personnel costs in some parks departments, 11K in alcohol, 10K in your park maintenance. Library, we had a miss of about 25K, which was wage and benefits and operating supply driven. I do want to note the police seems like a pretty big number there at face value. Chad has brought in $60,000 worth of grants this year to cover 2/3 of that overage. And if you look at his numbers, he has 34K overtime overage, which is really, I think, a product of him running on short staff. It's expensive to have your staff running overtime all the time. So, as
And
we go,
we're full, hey?
I believe so, yeah.
Or is the field training done?
Yeah, our two recruits finished in the middle of December there.
Beautiful, thank you.
Just want to add, this whole budget process, and even as Randy comes in, this is about, it hinges on having multiple good years to forecast. We had one maybe good year in 2023, where we were doing a lot of catch up and a lot of chaotic fixing, which should be no surprise for me to say that, right? So we have now 2023, we have 2024, all good actuals. And as we move into 2025, we can start depending a lot more on our forecasting data. I'm happy that we were able to try to monitor this budget process more this year. But I do want to remind everybody that when we go into budget talks, we can move money around, but if we're short, we need to be okay cutting services. And that's a difficult decision, but if we don't cut services, we can put any number we want on paper, and we have no way to meet that. So for 2025, I'm confident that our budget will be even better than 2024, but I know that we had a lot of back and forth in 2024 about trying to find where we were gonna make cuts. So this year, we'll see how we finish out, and we may get some unexpected revenue coming in, but like I said, I think for the general fund, that's your big one that we're watching. We started the year at a projected 80K deficit, which was the budget we amended, and we are looking at a 170K deficit estimate that I think we're gonna end up with in the general fund total year to date. Aside from eliminating the motor pool and trying to make some health insurance changes, we can continue to monitor for ways that we can be fiscally responsible to our taxpayers.
Very good, thank you. Any questions on the amendments? Kurt, anything?
Nope.
All right, I'll need a motion and support.
So moved.
Have a motion and support to approve the 2024 fourth quarter budget amendments. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Proposed 2025 fee schedule. Missing D.
You don't mind.
Here, let's go this way, because you're gonna have to talk. Thank you, Caroline. All right, you wanna touch on this a little bit? Mr. Manager?
Yeah, actually, Kathy, I know you really took the lead on this. Do you want to speak to any major changes?
There are no major changes. I did send this out to staff, department heads. No one had any changes to the fees that they wanted to make. I know the one thing I did not change or update, which Grant may want to talk to, was the water and sewer rates. That requires well, by ordinance, it says a 5% increase, but I'll let you talk to that.
Yeah, so I think the big one and the one that's probably of interest to everybody here, more than fence permits or, unlicensed dog tag or something, is I think what I would recommend to council is that we pause on our 5% scheduled increase, given how high our revenue came in over projections. Like we talked about, our metering system is functioning properly. We are billing properly for the first time in a long time. And I don't want to increase rates unless we know where, that increase is gonna end. We do have some debt service numbers which we need to be able to hit. So my recommendation to council is that we monitor for another 6 months to make sure that we can continue to, climb into the areas where we can meet our debt coverage ratios, which I think we can do without a rate increase. But I just want everybody here and for the folks at home to know we are gonna revisit this in June because we need to make sure no matter what, that we hit those numbers we need to pay our bonds off. If that would be agreeable to council, I'd like to revisit this in 6 months.
I think that one thing that I want to bring up is in the past, the water has been so heated, and rightfully so. The reason that we're in this position is thanks to Grant, Greg Cugini, and especially our DPW. The new meters are phenomenal, and we did a record time putting them in. We're collecting water now that was free, basically, for many years. We don't know how long. There was places, some commercial, that didn't even have a meter. Somehow, it was not caught. I'm not gonna revisit that, but somehow, it was never caught that this address never got a water bill. But that's all been corrected thanks to the hard work of our guys in the DPW and our staff. So for the first time since I've been on council, and that's quite a bit, I'm not gonna ask for a motion to hold the water bill. We're gonna let the management of the city say we don't have to increase the water bill. I think that's stellar. I think that's landmark, because it's almost unheard of in this city. So I will take your advice and we'll revisit in 6 months. The other thing is we were under Treasury, State Treasury umbrella. We had what was it called? Treasury Department's deficit elimination plan. So they were watching us because we were in red bad. And we've passed out of that now. We're in good shape and we can finally stop doing increases. And I believe we're obligated to look at it, but I also believe that we're not gonna have to in June either. So hopefully our water has settled down and we can get it into a comfortable position. So any questions for Grant or Kathy on the fee schedule?
If I could add one more.
Absolutely.
The exciting kind of conclusion to this too is that with real metering happening, Bill and me can finally do a rate study. And what a rate study does is it allows us to try to figure out if what we're charging residents is fair. So what's really cool about this is we started, like Pat said, we had hotels paying $95 a month for water. That's insane. can't do a rate study when you have clients who aren't paying. We now have everybody paying their fair share, what they're billed, based on a new accurate meter. And we are able to then, with that information, go forward, take a look at our fixed costs and decide what we need to charge to cover our basis, and take a look at any adjustment options that we're able to take. We do have USDA constraints for some of our water debt, and we do have, like I said, these new bonds that we took out for our infrastructure projects, which we will always need to meet the debt service on that. But we're excited to be able to take a look at our water rates and figure out where we need to be.
Thank you, Grant. I have been informed that we do have to make a motion. So I will move that we suspend the 5% increase until June and then review it.
I'll support that.
Have a motion and support to suspend the 5% water rate increase until June and then review it. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passed. One more thing I want to add to that, because it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we are billed for sewer on every gallon of water that goes. So the places that weren't paying for their water, you were all paying for their sewer because it still got counted when it went through the sewer plant. So it's a double indemnity. We've all been paying for the people that weren't paying for their water, we were paying for their sewer. So now that's getting caught as well. So it was truly a win-win.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing I'll add to button it up is we have, of course, been, in contact with our auditors. This isn't anything that our auditing partners don't know. None of this is a new bombshell. It does sound pretty scary, but it's been on our radar, and I'm happy to say we've corrected it.
We're there, yep. Very good, thank you.
Does that include the 5% on sewer? Because there's a 5% on water and 5% on sewer.
To me, it would be, we'd pause utility rates, period, till June. Because our sewer numbers are up as well.
Schedule unsafe building hearing for 409 Maple Street. You again.
Alrighty. So, we've had some major blight victories this year. Some of them have been really driven by our partners with the county and the land bank, like the property near Elaine's. We were able to clean up a burnt down structure on Johnson Street and clean up some debris in the yard. Thank you to the wonderful work of our attorney. That was a very long-standing legal fight. Believe it or not, it's very difficult to do this stuff. This letter that you're looking at represents a notice of violation that I sent to Mr. Dan Klum for his property on 409 Maple Street. The structure has quite a nice skylight in the back of it. It has been open to the elements for years. There is the presence of quite a bit of mold. How this works is that the city manager has the authority under our ordinances to condemn a building as or maybe condemn is not the right word, excuse my layman term, but that we can consider a public nuisance or a health hazard. I think this building squarely fits health hazard. Rodents, debris, children, the door's been wide open. I think we've called the police several times to try and get the building secured and structured back. We need to schedule this hearing because Dan has appealed the assertion that his building is no longer fit to exist and needs to be taken down. And so we're scheduling a hearing to hear Dan Klum's appeal, to take into account the evidence and make a decision as a city whether he should be allowed to fix it or whether he should be allowed to, or whether we're gonna come in and tear it down or if he's gonna tear it down. And if we tear it down, it would be leaned on his taxes likely. Would you be able to speak to there's a test if it's the property value?
So, under our ordinance, if it is determined first by the manager and then if appealed by the city council, that the cost of repairing the property and bringing it up to livable standards is going to be greater than the value of the property in its current state, then the city can order it torn down. And the question is, who does it, as the manager indicated? And when the expense the city goes to can be filed, if not reimbursed by the property owner, can be filed as just like a tax lien is if you don't pay your taxes. And after 2 years, it becomes delinquent, and eventually the property is lost by the owner. In addition, the city has the right to collect those expenses from the individual in other ways. In other words, not limited to just doing it on the tax rolls. So what we need is to schedule probably a special meeting, which would be for the council to sit essentially as the board, sort of like a jury in a way, but a jury that gets to ask questions. And you would listen to what is offered in terms of the property owner's defense of all of this, as well as what the city provides by way of information as to what situation is with the house, what it may cost to correct it, and the council can make a decision from there.
I'm really excited about this. I don't know that we've done this before.
Not since I've been here.
And so for us, to me, this represents a really exciting opportunity to flex our muscles a bit in a good direction. And this is kind of a pilot for us. If this works, if we're able to see this through, if this process holds up, then we will have tested and proven an avenue to start tackling some of these vacant homes, or abandoned homes, not vacant, excuse me.
I don't know, has any other councilman driven by this property? It's disgusting. Yeah, the safety thing is they got some caution tape around the front, ain't gonna stop anybody. But I rode through the back, you can still get down the alley, and yeah, the roof has been gone for a year. I mean, the whole room, whatever that room is back there, the roof is gone. And if you look down the north side, the roof is missing in parts towards the front. It's just, that's not a fixable building. So.
No, and I think almost more than anything we do, this is something that can have an immediate impact on the quality of life of residents to remove these structures. If you live next to one of these homes and it's removed, I think you'll notice that more than just about anything we can do here. So it's a big deal.
So what is our next move? Then we have a special meeting?
Schedule the meeting. I would suggest that we schedule it on the date of our regular council meeting previously,
Okay,
because we were all gonna be here. So I would move that we have it on,
Correct. It would need to be the March
30 days from
notice.
the notice here, or
30
from this.
days Written notice to.
Oh, okay.
To the owner. So I'd suggest the March meeting date.
It doesn't have to be special, or a March regular, the old meeting date.
The former meeting date, right?
Okay. Which would be March 5th. Does that give us our time?
what time?
6 o'clock?
6?
March 5th at 6 o'clock. I will make that a motion.
I'll support that.
Have a motion and support to schedule the hearing for 409 Maple Street on March the 5th at 6 PM. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Resolution 1-2025, adopt poverty exemption income guidelines and asset test. Grant? Catherine?
So this is required annually for the board of review. Normally, it's probably not done till February, but we are being audited by the state board of review. Every board of review is being audited. So this is a requirement for the audit, so we wanted to get it on this agenda. Well, I should say March is when it usually goes. So anyway, that's why it's on this agenda. It's done annually. It's basically for the board review to follow these guidelines if there's anyone that comes in that is looking for a poverty exemption.
What's your pleasure?
So moving on.
I'll support.
I have a motion and support to adopt Resolution 1-2025 is a resolution to adopt poverty exemption income guidelines and asset test. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. G has been removed. Item number H, DPW Water and Sewer Department request to purchase a new Vector truck.
So the
Bill?
current Vector truck is a 2014 model. I read a couple memos from previous directors, and they were trying to do a 5 to 7 year rotation of trading them in or selling them and buying a new one. So we're at a 10-year mark right now, or almost 11 years that we've had this machine. The reason we want to buy a newer one is the newer ones have what's called a winter package, where everything is heated. Right now, when the Vector truck goes out, it's a water truck, and when it goes out on these lengthy water main breaks and that, there's a tendency for the handheld gun to freeze up and other parts of the machine to freeze up. We are starting to get a little bit of maintenance items that are going, bearings and stuff like that, that are quite expensive. We'd also like to try and get top dollar for a used piece of equipment rather than waiting a few more years and basically not getting much for it. Right now, it still has some value. We think that we can get a little over $100,000 on an auction or a sale. And again, this money is coming from the Water and Sewer Department, doesn't affect the general fund.
And you're sufficiently funded for it?
It's actually been submitted already as part of your capital improvement plan for
Oh,
2025. Look at, isn't that great how that,
As it should be, eh?
Do you need a motion with that?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we move forward in buying the Mack truck.
With the funds to come from the Water Department.
And just as a little note, this is done by Sourcewell, which is the same thing as My Deal. So they've done all the bidding for us. But a couple of our department people have actually gone downstate to look at this vehicle. They've gone to another state to look at the other vehicles, and this is the one that they've all chosen.
Support? Support. A motion and support to move forward with the new Vector truck. With the funding for the, what was it?
this water and sewer department.
Yeah, 600,000 something, coming from the Water and Sewer Department. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Now we're gonna talk about fixing our 2025 Pierce fire truck. Go ahead, Grant.
All right, so the fire truck has long been a topic of discussion for us, how we're going to purchase a very large piece of equipment. Jason had a great idea of going out for repair quotes to see if we were able to limp our current fire truck forward, because $1 million is a lot of money. We are able to do so for about $73K, which seems like a big repair initially, but if we can keep the fire truck in relatively good condition and roadworthy, we may be able to sell it and recover a small amount of that repair cost, or maybe even all of that repair cost. And what this does is it limps us forward probably 4 or 5 years, and in 4 or 5 years, our current fire equipment millage will have been expired. The current fire truck that we're paying off will be paid off, and we can either decide to try and put that millage out for a vote again to renew it, to purchase a new truck, which would be a very sustainable option for us, or we can explore other alternatives as they come up along the way. I think this is a really great solution to what seemed like a really big, scary problem. And my recommendation is to allow Jason to make the repairs. There may be some additional funding in the pool of money that is currently being milled to pay off our current fire truck because happily our property values have increased, I think, a little quicker than anybody estimated when we purchased that truck. So meaning we're getting more tax revenue per mil than we anticipated on that. So we might have a little bit of slush in that account, which we could use. Technically, I think the ordinance is for fire equipment. Seems pretty broad. I think repairing a fire truck may be a good definition of that. I would like to check with our auditors, of course, before we transferred money from that account, but I think we have a happy solution to pay for it as well.
Question, Your Honor. How long will that truck be tied up in actual repair? 'Cause it's probably going to Wisconsin, I imagine?
You know, I am not sure about the repair location or how long it would take. I'm sorry to say, Kurt.
But we still have two trucks. If that one's gone, we still have two trucks to cover.
And we just recently did this for the city of Nagani, I believe, but we have reciprocal mutual aid
Right.
agreements, and if
Which
Chief
they can
Anala said, well, you know what, if we get a structure fire, auto page it. So we can very well cover between Ishpeming Township and Nagani, and the chief's wisdom,
Yep.
will be covered very well.
Cool.
That's a good point.
I need a motion and support.
So moved.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and support to authorize our fire chief to move forward with the repairs on the 05 fire truck, is that what it was? Yeah. In the amount of 73,506.08. And where's that money coming from? The
It'll
basic-
either be public improvement or, like I said, if I can get
Okay.
our auditor to give us the thumbs up on using that milled money, I want to make sure when we mill for a specific purpose, we need to be really careful that we're using that money according to the milled language.
But basically it'd be capital improvement.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion and support. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Request to declare DPW equipment vehicles surplus.
So in front of you, you're gonna have a pretty lengthy list of things that we've been kicking around, not being used, underused, but still has value. And we'd like you guys to declare this equipment surplus. And the way that we're gonna try and get rid of it this time is we would be using a service from Wisconsin Surplus Auction, is where we bought a few of our pieces of equipment from. Alls we basically do is we take the pictures, we send them to them, they take care of all the auctioning service. They take a 3% cut on the price of anything that is sold. We can set limits, minimum bids type things. Lot less headache for us. We don't have to have people coming and viewing the equipment. The person that buys it is responsible for coming and picking it up, doing whatever they want with it.
One question, Bill, is if there's, some of it isn't much. If there's no bid, are we gonna have to, we should scrap it now then? So I will make a motion that we move forward with declaring this list surplus, and that we also authorize the DPW to scrap whatever is left of no value. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Bill. 2025 city health insurance coverage grant.
Okay, I know this is a big deal. I have prepared a brief statement and we can go into discussions as necessary. Many difficult decisions often require a great deal of foundational work before possible solutions can even be discussed. Defining where we are, the ethics, values, and metrics by which we will measure success is the necessary first step in deciphering where we need to be and how we will get there. How can we make the biggest impact in the lives of our residents? Is what we are about to do sustainable? And what is our responsibility as a city? Are the key questions that I think we should consider. Taxpayers fund our entire operation. Every dollar the city spends comes either directly through the city's tax levy and charges for services, or indirectly through taxes paid to the county, state, and federal government, which are returned to the city through grants, revenue sharing, and supporting services provided to the city. In practical application, what this means is that the city has ethical and legal duties to steward the organization in a manner that centers not the personal opinions of administrators or elected representatives, but the well-being of over 6,000 residents in manners the city is involved in. It is no small challenge to balance such a charge with the city's desire to value hardworking employees and retain them. In the specific issue at hand, the city's healthcare coverage, that equilibrium must account first for a community who on average pays significantly more for insurance than even these new coverage options being discussed tonight. So I ask, how can we make the biggest impact in the lives of our residents with the resources we have? Government is slow. Municipal organizations have to navigate service mandates, finite resources, additional legal constraints, and literally centuries of compounded history. Ishpeming cannot, as a corporation might, declare bankruptcy in some far-off court in the state of Delaware and start over. The city is not allowed to fail or reinvent itself at the will of market drivers. In compensating for these constraints, the city must govern not for today, but for decades to come. Decisions we make now will have exponential effect into the future. For 2024, the city renewed its 2023 plan to insure 31 employees with a stated cost of $593,000 to administer, a significant cost increase from the prior year. Rolling over the city's current 2024 insurance again into 2025 is estimated to cost $746,000. To provide an organizational scale for those numbers, the city's general operating millage for 2025 is $1.78 million. That's a very large chunk of money, is what we are about to do sustainable. Contractually, if the city is going to change its health insurance, the city is obligated to provide substantially equivalent plans to its bargaining units. The plans presented here tonight are substantially equivalent in the fact that there is an option for employees to avoid a premium share altogether. Depending on the individual, it is still possible to avoid incurring any costs for healthcare for the year. They are substantially equivalent in the cost the city will incur to administer them from 2024 and even represent an increase in costs from 2023. They are substantially equivalent in the fact that they remain above average for comparable employers. Furthermore, it is the mutual contractual responsibility of all parties involved to hold an informational meeting to discuss changes to health insurance. The city chose to wait until relevant data was available to discuss, a time constraint which stems from the insurance industry. The city has not denied any requests from bargaining units for such, nor is there any contract language which constrains the city to respond within a limited window for such a request. Further still, it is the mutual contractual right of all parties involved to open relevant bargaining agreements to negotiate potential changes to insurance on or before a stated August 1st deadline. The city has not denied any such contractually viable requests. The impending change was clearly communicated by the city during a 2023 Health Insurance Committee meeting, and a reminder of those changes was disseminated to staff through department heads in September 2024. So I ask council, what is our responsibility as a city? I provided the audience and council members with a nice colorful cheat sheet to go over the current plan offerings. I have broken these plans out. Individual, two-person, and family options, and we see two options, a Blue Care Network Platinum and a Blue Care Network Gold. I have taken these numbers and they are sort of effective after the partial deductible funding that we will be providing employees. So these are the kind of end costs to a user of this coverage. You can see for an individual taking a Blue Cross Platinum plan, your premiums per pay period post-tax are $21. Your max out of pocket for the year in addition to those premiums is $825. That's all co-insurance, deductibles, co-pays, $825 and you're done. If you were to break that down to a 1/26th annual cost, in other words, to a per pay period cost, an individual under our Blue Care Network Platinum plan would pay no more than $47 post-tax for their health insurance, period. All the way up to, if the family plan under the same one, you are looking at a $1,650 max out-of-pocket cost, or after tax, excuse me, I'm off my rocker. You are looking at a $1,650 max out-of-pocket cost, which is your deductible. And you have after-tax premiums per pay period of $63.81. So again, take your premiums every pay period, take your annual max out-of-pocket cost, divide that by 26, you are paying $117 a pay period. That's it. Co-insurance, deductibles, everything is included in that. I personally have never worked in a place where I've had insurance that cheap. I don't think that the hospital is paying any less for insurance. I know that the county of Marquette is not paying any less for insurance. We do have our representative from Acrisure who's put a lot of work into finding us some really wonderful, affordable plans. And he is here to answer any questions from council that you might have. The last thing I do want to point out is because premium shares are an issue and premium shares are one of the things that our union contract does identify, we have also offered a premium-free option which employees can take should they desire to not pay premiums. That does come with a slightly higher deductible, but again, we are funding quite a bit of that deductible going forward, and if you are a healthy individual, you may not end up paying anything for healthcare during the year. I guess I'd like to open up the floor for Ryan, for council to take questions or ask questions of Ryan.
Hey, Ryan. Council questions? Kirk?
I was in a meeting today, so a lot of it's already answered.
Brett?
Oh, it's been laid out.
I've been watching it as well, so I'm pretty well up to speed.
Well, Ryan did provide us with some really great metrics. Would you be able to speak on those metrics that you provided us at all?
Sure can.
Thank you. I don't want to waste your time here. I want to make sure we hear what you have to say.
Yeah, by all means, and thank you for the opportunity to come in today. As Grant said, I just put together a pretty small packet of information with benchmarking. With Acrisure, 44 North, kind of second quarter of 2024 became Acrisure. 44 North has been an Acrisure partner agency since about 2012, but as of last year, we just officially rebranded to Acrisure, along with a few other agencies throughout the Upper Peninsula. But with that, Acrisure is a very large, worldwide-based company, and we have access to a lot of data. So in the packet that you have in front of you, you'll see on the left side of the left 2/3 of the page is benchmarking data based on government and public administration benefit plans of about 17,000 members. So as you can see here, right at the top, companies with no employee contribution required. You can see that 24% of companies with single coverage are offering no employee contribution required, and 9% on the family side of things. You can see what annual premiums are on the single side, as well as the family, as well as employer annual premiums on the top there. So again, this is just all benchmarking data. On the lower aspect of it, again, benchmarking on the left, and what the city of Ishpeming's plan current cost is based on illustrative rates, and then what the renewal costs were. So if you just take the total annual cost, those first charts, you can see that a single medium inline cost for a plan is $8,200, and that's per month for a single, or per year, sorry. The cost is $9,300 currently. With renewal, that's going to $11,000. On the family side, the mean is about $22,000. The family plan current, $24,000, and the renewal was coming in at $31,000. So when you take it into the below, in line, and above the city's plan cost-wise was very much on the above side. And for 2025, the way the increases came in, it was even further beyond that. You could see also just percent of premium paid by the employer. City of Ishpeming was paying 100%. You could see for single and family what those percentages are. The monthly premium paid by the employer, dollar amounts, it's $777 currently for a single, $929 for the renewal. And you could see that was off the chart for a single as well in terms of the above cost. And for the family, same situation at $2,062. So, any questions on that page?
No.
The next page gets into healthcare benefits and plan design. The first chart is just showing percent of employees by plan design. The current program that the city of Ishpeming has is a PPO plan. It's a traditional type of a plan. So you can see the majority of the populations have those type of plans. HMO is what Grant and the committee, I guess, is recommending that we move to through Blue Care Network. You can see the percentage that's based on that, as well as HDHP, which stands for High Deductible Health Plan. That is also a part of the plan that we're moving towards. You can see deductible ranges on the HDHP. For a single deductible, it's $3,600 on average. For a HMO plan, traditional, it's about $1,100. And for the PPO plan, it's about $1,200. So all of which the City of Ishpeming's plan currently are well below those deductible amounts and will continue to be well below those amounts based on the plans that are on in front of you today. Out-of-pocket maximums, again, you can see what those are on the averages, as well as employer HSA contribution amounts. So the first one there is an HSA family. This is where the employer, like the City of Ishpeming, is giving money to employees in their HSA. $1,800 there for the family, and $1,200, almost $1,300 for a single. So this benchmarking data is really just to give you an idea where other government entities are stacking up across Acrisure, Great Lakes, which is Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. Our book of business overall segmented into this government business where the plans and costs and benefits are stacking up.
So if I understood you correctly, we are offering a pretty competitive healthcare plan, even as little old Ishpeming, up against a wide range of cities from several different states.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on the benchmarking data?
Anything, council? My next question is, what is your pleasure? Do we want to go into closed session for further discussion, or are you ready to take action?
Closed session might be available on something like this if you were talking about strategy for collective bargaining.
And not the way we would state it. Because we'd be discussing numbers and cash payment, different deductibles. If you think it's not acceptable, let us know.
I'm not sure what you want to get into. There's this issue tonight, and then there's bargaining coming up. So I'm not sure.
Well, after much discussion with our ASME rep and with the insurance committee and with Grant and council people, I believe that these are good plans. And I believe that we would be unjust to our taxpayers to do anything but. I don't think the sheet that we got from Acrisure the other day with the double-sided had about, I'm guessing 8 or 10 options on it, and all of them were considerably more than these two. This is the cream, as far as I'm concerned. So I will make a motion that we adopt these two plans and authorize the city manager to continue discussion with the union and our ASME units to do the paperwork, the assistance, whatever we need to do, get AccuSure here to help our employees with the transition. I think our hands are tied. With the presentation of the numbers, the way you presented it, we can't go another year. We went last year and we rolled it over or, kicked the can down the road. So I will move that we move forward with these two options.
I'll support that, Pat.
We have a motion and support to move with Blue Cross Blue Shield Platinum and Blue Cross Network Platinum and Blue Cross Network Gold. We will honor either, correct?
Yep.
And we will be doing some assisting as far as, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, so our budgetary number that we set for 2025 for health insurance was 550K. Seeing as our plan cost last year per the paperwork provided by Ryan was 593K. We're deciding to, like I said, these numbers here you're seeing on your colorful sheet, these are after we fund deductibles. We're deciding to fund 50% of the employee's max out-of-pocket responsibility. And what that does is it brings us right in line with what we spent last year. We aren't saving money, we are hitting the brakes. I take no pleasure in removing a benefit from an employee. I promise you, and I can promise you I'm taking the same plan. But my first duty is to taxpayers, and I think that's the first duty of this council.
And I sincerely feel that it's a pretty good plan. It's not, I would feel terrible if we were cutting benefits, but I don't feel we are.
It's very comparable.
So we have a motion and support. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. We'll direct the city manager to get with the ASME rep and the insurance committee, get a plan to start implementing and anything we can do to help and kind of clear the water. And I'm available to sit in on that as well as Kurt. Thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you to our ASME brothers and our rep for being here tonight. We will move on to our final public comment. Any public comment? Claudia?
Claudia Demarest, 821 Maurice. I would just like to thank the council and staff for recommending pausing the 5% water and sewer increases. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, Raymond?
Raymond Olds, 1165 9th Street. I think there were a lot of great things that happened tonight, a lot of interesting things, some things I don't understand. But there was one thing that was said tonight that kind of struck a nerve with me. And I'm standing here doing it right now in the second public comment. I don't think that that should be eliminated. I think that everybody on this council has to remember that you were elected by the public, you are paid by the public, and you are to work with the public. And how else is the public going to talk to you except during public comments? People might come up here and be repetitive, but people who stand behind this podium, it's important to them to come up here. And I strongly urge you to get back that second public comment. It's only 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Anyone else for public comment? Ann?
I'm Ann Olds, 1165 9th Street, and I'm going to probably say a lot of the same things Raymond did. I'm extremely disappointed with you tonight that you voted to eliminate this second public hearing, public comment. I have been at many, many council meetings where at the second public comment, people have commented on things that happened during this meeting. And I agree, I think you took away a right of our citizens to comment and to tell you how we feel about what's being done in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Anyone else, public comment? All right, thank you, and that will be considered. Mayor and council reports. I'm going to jump in first because I have several things and I'll forget. One that we have, and I'll get Grant to weigh in on this, we currently have a grant between the Historical Society and the Iron Mining Museum, if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Of course. So this grant, and I know that in the past there's been discussion about being careful with how many grants we apply for. The administration of grants is an incredibly time-intensive undertaking, and
Excuse me, we might want to make it known that the Historical Society's getting the boot.
well, I'm getting there. Sorry.
Okay, okay.
But I guess I just first want to address, this is a no match to the city grant that we're discussing. I'm not sitting here telling you that we are in budgetary trouble in your general fund and then asking to spend money on a grant match. This is a no match to the city grant. In addition, we have a 4-year execution window on this grant. This is why, to me, we are here discussing another grant at this time before we are fully staffed as an administrative team. That being said, all that out of the way, this is a wonderful opportunity to provide our Ishpeming Historical Society, which is getting the boot from the Gossard, a new home. The current location that we have our eye on is the district lab building over by the Cliffs Shaft Museum. And this is a grant that was brought to me by some really wonderful people in our community who asked me not to give them any credit here, but I want to let everybody know this was not me. It was not staff. This was a volunteer outside of the community who wrote this grant for us, or in the community outside of the city, rather, excuse me. And it basically is just providing a new home for the Historical Society over by the Cliff Shaft. I would like you guys to let me apply for this, given that it's no match for the city and the liberal execution timeline. I don't think we're gonna get in over our heads trying.
And we also have to reiterate that you're not actually consuming time. The work has been done by the person who wants to remain.
Yes, of course. This is a pre-filled out grant application. I, of course, am reading through it and making sure, our numbers are all accurate and stuff, but this is pretty much a handed victory to us.
And the reason, if you don't know, the reason the Historical Society is getting the boot is because they're gonna take the top floors of the Gossard and put condos in their development company. So obviously they need the Historical Society out. The Bob Clark is here from the Iron Museum Committee, or whatever we call them, and they've been working with the Historical Society. I think it's a great idea. That old chem lab has been sitting there just waiting for an opportunity, so I will move that we direct the city manager to move forward and work with these people to get it done.
I'll support that.
We have a motion and support to authorize the city manager to work with the unnamed parties and the Iron Museum and the Historical Society to work for this grant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I have an opportunity for new council people or really old council people that haven't been around for a while. The MML is offering a virtual, Mr. DeGabriel, of course, isn't here tonight, offer a virtual newly elected official training. So we don't have the expense of sending you downstate. The cost, Kathy looked for me, the cost is $95 person. You can do it from home. If you'd like, you could come here and do it. I would move that we allow you to register. This isn't mandatory. We allow you to register. Kathy would be glad to do it. And my motion also includes the $95 registration fee. Can I get support for that? So we have a motion and support to cover the costs and registration for the Michigan Municipal League's newly elected official training, if you so desire. And of course, this will be offered to Ben as well. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. We took care of, moved the meeting already. And Councilman Kipling has been working diligently with Grant. Do you want to touch on the meet and greet?
Should we let Kurt do
Or
it?
let Kurt do it?
Since,
That'll be fine.
Kurt's
We'll
done
have-
all the legwork.
Why don't you jump on that now
I did a
instead of
couple
your
things.
report?
You do. The meet and greet is going to be February 28th at the Senior Center. It's going to be from 11 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, 1-ish. If we get a lot of people and they still want to meet with the new manager and his wife, we're going to be there. We're going to do coffee and donuts and cookies from local businesses within Ishpeming. So it's going to be a fun time. It's just going to be it's great facility, easy access for everybody to get in and out of. So we're hoping that a lot of people will show and have questions or meet. The new manager is very, very open. He got open door. I mean, he's just real responsive. You're going to love him.
And we will attempt to keep him for the end of day shift. They're coming from out of town, so we discussed having two, one during the day and one again like at supper time. And it's a little bit much, so we'll try to go a little bit later and keep them hanging out, and people coming from day shift can stop in.
I'd be glad to have you.
So that's
We'll buy you
exciting.
coffee. Yep, so that's it for that. It's a go. And
That concludes my report, so if you want to go into your report.
okay. I'm now the rep for the Central Dispatch for Ishpeming, and I met with the Central Dispatch, went down, toured their facility. It's new from the last time I was on there, a little bit different, nice facility. Little surprised that the people that sit on the board, when you're calling in, they don't get to leave, they don't get to take really breaks. I noticed there's paper plates with food on it, they get their meal there and they go to eat, call comes in. Well, they can't tell you, I'll be right with you, they gotta take the call. And I saw 3 different people trying to eat their meals and calls would come in, and so, they really work hard down there, it's unbelievable. And I've been in it before, I just, kind of forgot after all these years, but, so when you're calling down there, just keep that in mind, that they're doing the long hours and no breaks. And they command the respect when you call them. So it was fun to see them. Pat and I, we met with Kurt Lesage, who was in charge of the ambulances for Marquette County. And we toured the Bell facility, got to see one of the ambulances, the other one was heading out the door. They have 2 ambulances there. One is always a backup. It's a backup rig. It's nobody manning it. So you only have one going out at a time. The protocol, of course, if they get sent west, like Michigami, like when we were there, they had a call out west. Marquette then brings an ambulance up to the state police post, or it brings them to Negaunee. I always thought that the ambulance sitting at Negaunee, they're just screwing off and looking out over Teal Lake, but they're actually, they're being staged there. And they can, whether it's Negaunee, Ishpeming, Westwood, they can hit the highway and get there. You're looking at, probably a 10-minute, even on the fly anymore, just because of distance. But they're really working hard at making sure we're covered every step of the way. So that's kind of the protocol for ambulance. If you're leaving, you call and you're on the south side of Ishpeming way out. By the time you get the ambulance out of the garage, off the property, across the highway and to your, say, south Pine Street, it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 10 minutes. It's just the distance, it's just there, nothing, you can't do it any faster. So 10 minutes when you're waiting for somebody with a serious heart attack or something, that's a long time to wait. That'd be like 3 hours in your mind. So they're coming as fast as they can. Some people do call back to see if the ambulance, if you call the ambulance and they say they're on their way, they're on their way. If you call back to 911 again to see if they're coming, they're still on their way. But now that person that you're calling has to answer the phone and take that call and then tell you they're on their way. So, you know, just trust me, when those gals or guys from the Central Dispatch tell you that that ambulance is en route, they're on their way. So that was that part. They did a ride along with the police department. I noticed that City Hall still had lights on at 6:30. Grant and Kathy were still there. I could see through the windows that they were having a meeting. So they also, you know, they come in at 9 in the morning. Doesn't mean they go home at 5. I was quite shocked to see them still there. And that was a Friday night when we were all out having, you know, Congress pizza and having fun. They were still wrapping up things at City Hall. So just a little note. I had the meeting with the insurance company. We already knew about that. Meet and greet, already covered that. So I guess that's it for me.
Thank you, Kurt. Brett?
I don't have much today. I was able to attend the DDA planning joint meeting on Monday, 2 days ago. A lot of great energy from both the DDA and planning. Very excited about upcoming projects that are proposed. Really excited to be a part of those two groups in that setting. I would like to give kudos to our negotiating team with Mayor Scanlon and Councilmember Kipling. They did a great job getting our new city manager on board in a timely manner. And I'm very much looking forward to working with him in the forthcoming months. Most of my upcoming meetings are with the DDA in 2 weeks, and with the school board, so I'll have more information with those next month. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Brett. How about yourself there, Mr. Interim Manager?
Yeah, I wanted to take a moment to highlight the wonderful work of our utility billing clerk, Kathy Hakala. She's been working with local aid agencies, and I don't know if many residents know this, but if you're in financial trouble, you're having trouble paying your water bill, we have resources out there available to try and help you. I think this year, we were able to provide residents with over $50,000 of assistance through these aid agencies. That's incredible work that she's done. That's time, that's phone calls, that's working with people. I think that's pretty incredible, and I wanted to make sure everybody knew the work that Kathy was doing. I guess the last thing I'll say is I appreciate staff being here. I know that this insurance thing is hard. I know that you guys must have your own feelings about it. That's okay. I'm here to talk about it if you want, and I'm doing my best for everybody here. I'm doing my best to do what I'm ethically charged to do, and what I deeply believe is I need to take care of our taxpayers, and I need to take care of our budget. I wish I didn't have to make this decision on the health insurance, but I think it's where we need to go. And I'm comfortable looking every one of you in the eyes and saying, I did what I did to the best of my own ethics, and I tried to find you guys a plan that was as good as I could for what we could afford. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Grant. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support? All those in favor? Claudia, time to go home, watch